Alrighty, welcome to another episode. Dealing with anxiety. The first thing you need to do when dealing with anxiety is identify where the anxiety is coming from. Sorry, just make sure that is pretty even. So, one way to do that. I'm just going to restart it. Oh, that's fine. So you need to identify where the anxiety is coming from. You can't change your genetics, but you can get rid of any substances like caffeine or any of the other ones that you know gives you anxiety. Reduce stress. Not enough sleep can cause anxiety. A messy home environment. These are immediate causes of the anxiety, and they can be easily taken care of. And it's best if you do those right now. So, another cause of anxiety is childhood trauma, so it's important to identify the causes so you can locate the problem. You can't take away childhood trauma, but we'll get into other ways to fix that. So one of the ways is positive thinking. Be positive when you talk about yourself, and just positive thinking in general. There is so many different things that I could cover when talking about positive thinking, it could be a whole nother video. It's really, positive thinking is very, very important, especially when achieving your goals. I'll do another video about it, as I said. So the subconscious and positive thinking are very important. In fact, pretty much every successful person would agree that positive thinking is important. When Joe Rogan did DMT, that's what he learned, is positive thinking is very important. So, yeah. One of the things that positive thinking entails is your thoughts attract thoughts that are similar. So, that's from the book Think and Grow Rich. I think. Think and Grow Rich. That I'm listening to right now. And it's just positive thoughts will bring positive thoughts. Negative thoughts will bring negative thoughts. Any emotion connected with thoughts will bring thoughts of that emotion. So it just can be a spiral that you get into on either side of the spectrum. Okay, you're having an anxiety attack right now. Not an anxiety attack, but you're having mad anxiety right now. Maybe anxiety attack. I don't know how to deal with that particularly. But what you do is so unclench your jaw, roll back your shoulders, get comfortable in the chair that you're sitting in, and breathe. Breathe through your diaphragm, which means make your belly big. Breathing can relax the body enough that it is almost dangerous to do an activity that requires attention. Breathing can relax the body so much that you become lethargic and lazy. So it's better blood flow, relaxation, specifically for the attention thing. And the dangers of breathing too well is free diving. Some people say that it can be bad for you because you'll get too lazy and too relaxed. So you need to be, this is just giving you examples of how relaxed you can actually get and how important breathing actually is for decreasing anxiety. It's the most popular method used, and I'm pretty sure that it is one of the most effective. It's important to note some people have adverse effects to breathing. So if you do have an adverse effect, you get more anxiety, then don't do the breathing. Don't breathe. If you, I'm just kidding. Breathe. But some can have adverse effects. So if you are having adverse effects, then don't do it. But one thing that's important to know about anxiety, if you're having it, is we're built for this. Anxiety is a good thing. It fuels and propels the human body. Your mind and senses are heightened when you have anxiety, and it's used to kill animals, stay alive, and survive in the olden days, and today as well. It's not a bad thing. It can be excess of it, but I mean, it's not. Generally, it's not a bad thing. So you can't get rid of anxiety. You can't fight it. You have to make anxiety your friend. You can only get better at dealing with the anxiety. So there's no difference between the amount of anxiety high performers have and when they're performing. So it's just the way that they're dealing with it. So, like for example, making these videos, I used to get, well, I still do, because this is episode 3, remember, so we're still in the works and getting things rolling and stuff, but at the first, I mean, I already noticed a difference between the negative thoughts and the anxiety that I'm having when getting in front of a camera and making a video than I had in the first episode. So that's still there, but they're just less loud and less, it's more like an annoying little voice, an obnoxious little voice. It's less than a big berating, overpowering feeling. So the best way to get better at anxiety is getting better at failing, because you're going to fail, or just get better at stuff, get better at things. If you don't want anxiety when you're talking to people, get better at talking to people. That will decrease the amount of anxiety you have, and basically just you'll get better at it, and you'll still have that anxiety, but you'll be able to handle it much better. And eventually the anxiety will cease to matter. Make friends with your anxiety again. Make friends with it. Same with anxiety. You'll never get rid of negative thoughts. Just on that note, negative thoughts will always be there. Negative thoughts are good. And the best way... yeah, but anyway, I just was reading something I wrote and it didn't make sense, so we're going to skip that part. Well, I'll just read it anyway. Negative thoughts are good. It's not getting rid of negative thoughts. It's dealing with the negative thoughts. Okay, all right, that makes plenty of sense. So you can't get rid of them. Just deal with them. Don't get in loops of negative thoughts. Don't get negative thoughts about negative thoughts, like being insecure about being insecure. Don't judge your thoughts negatively. So, yeah. Just be welcoming to all thoughts, and just pick out the ones that are good, and use those to your advantage. Use your rational brain and critical thinking. Stuff like that. I don't know. So speaking of rocket fuel, as I mentioned in a few paragraphs back, is that it's like fuel to your body to get you to heighten your senses and things like that. So do something physical. Physical exertion can burn off that anxiety. Running, exercising, doing all these things, even going for a walk. A walk is a big one for me. I love going on walks. People judge me for going on walks, but you just got to go on walks. It's fine. It's great thing. So that is just a good way to also distract your mind. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just from avoiding that anxiety. So the next thing you can do is something that I've done for years, but the more research I did on it, I learned a little bit more about it. It's called the dive reflex. It's a way to fool your body into triggering the parasympathetic nervous system. I'm going to tell you what that is. It's used to calm your body down. So it's basically getting into cold water. I know you don't want to do this, but I mean, eventually you will. I promise you that. Eventually you will love to get into cold water. At least I do. I don't know if that's a guarantee that I can make, but yeah. So basically to trigger this reflex, you need to get this portion of your face, so nose and eyes, right here, into cold water and hold your breath, and do that for 15 to 30 seconds. So it makes your body think you're going to the ocean, and for some reason that relaxes you. I don't know why, but it does. So I feel like that would not relax me if I was going to the ocean. I would be like, but apparently it relaxes you, natural nervous system reflex. So I do this every single day. I shower and then I'll do 30 seconds of cold, or I'll do, lately I've been doing it at the beginning, and yeah, so I've been doing 1 minute lately. I don't know if that matters, but 30 seconds is fine. And you just turn it to all the way cold, sit there, scream, yell, and say some weird things that you never thought your brain would be able to say, and then turn it off, and you'll feel better after. I've never held my breath, but I'll have to try that. And yeah, so that is a very difficult thing, to hold your breath, because your body wants to breathe. You'll notice. But yeah, so that I couldn't recommend more. Love cold showers. Another thing that I couldn't recommend more is meditation. There's a stigma around meditation. People don't really want to do it, and they think they're doing it wrong or something. For me, there's no rules when you meditate. The only rule is to keep your eyes closed. And even then, that's like, you can get into deep states of meditation with your eyes open, I'm pretty sure. Like, I've done it before, so I'm positive that you can do that. But I mean, just a good rule of thumb is to keep your eyes closed. I can't keep my eyes closed right now because I got to read. But they're the best side effects of meditation. So I'm going to give my general recommendations on meditation. My mantra is go down. I don't know why, but for some reason it feels natural I can't explain this. I really can't. So just meditate. That's a good thing to do. Keep your eyes shut. One of the best side effects of meditation is developing the ability to watch your thoughts and emotions without reacting to them. This is just something you'll observe. The more you get at meditating, the better you'll get at it. And it's just being able to observe and not react to things. It's just a really good thing to have in your arsenal of skills. And just let things be. Just let them be. It's good. You'll be okay. Another thing that you can do to decrease anxiety is take 10 minutes of worry time. This is where you write down all your worries. I've never done this. I just researched it and said it was a good idea, so I'm putting it in here. You don't have to worry about grammar or anything. This puts your worries into context. So the more you write, the more you are able to just see all your worries out there. It'll put them into context. I don't know. Take 10 minutes a day to write down all your worries, and worry time. That's a good one. I feel like I can use that. Another thing with writing is listing all the fears and facts about the situation. So take a step back and acknowledge the reacting brain from the perspective of the rational brain. So the reacting brain reacts to things, the rational brain thinks about them. The brain often exaggerates things in many ways, as we mentioned before, so just listing out the fears that you have and then the facts about the situation can really also put things into perspective and context and give you that edge over the anxiety. And if you want to change your brain to get rid of this anxiety or help diffuse it, you need to act on the facts, not the fears. So remember, you control you, not your thoughts. And this anxiety won't last forever. But if you act on the facts and not the fears, then your brain will change. And the brain changes through what you do, not what you say. So, yeah. This is more if you're having an anxiety attack right now. And the first thing you can do is get grounded in the present moment. Use your senses to notice things that are around you. Use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. 5 things you see. I'll just do that right now. So I see some you don't need it. You know what I'm talking about. 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. So that can just ground you back into reality. A lot of the times when we're having an anxiety attack, you'll be almost out of body. You won't be grounded into the actual present situation. Reality seems distorted and a little bit not real. You can like exaggerate things, over-exaggerate, overthink, things like that. So another way to get grounded back into reality is you give your body a sensory shock. So super cold water, as we mentioned before, something super smelly like a candle, strong candle, a strong peppermint candy, things like that. So yeah, just getting your senses back to the present moment can really help with that. So then the next thing is getting absorbed in activity. If you don't want to feel the anxiety right now, you're done with it. Then get absorbed in activity. There's things about states of flow that I just love. I don't know if it directly applies here, but it does. It does apply, because states of flow can really distract you and get you into a happy state of mind that I just love. I really like states of flow. I'll probably do a video on it. But yeah, in fact, states of flow, just a side thing, can increase your productivity by 500%. So this has nothing to do with anxiety, but that's just a fact that is very intense, because if you were able to do 1 day of flow, then you can get an entire 5 days in 1 day. So that's just states of flow are very good to practice. Okay, back to anxiety. So a bigger concept, if you're having negative thoughts or anxiety or mainly fears about what other people think of you, it might be because you don't have a mission in your life, or like a goal, something that you're doing. You might not be doing anything. Mark Manson gave a great example of this by saving a baby. He didn't do this, I don't think. Maybe he did. But saving a baby from a burning building, if there's people around you and you're the only one that sees the baby, you won't care what they think, because you see, oh my gosh, there's a baby in the building, I gotta save it. So you go save the baby. You aren't really thinking about the people that are like, oh, why is he running into a burning building, you know? And then even when you get back out and people are like, oh, they praise you and stuff, it doesn't really matter, because what matters is the baby's life. So yeah, that is just really, if you care too much about what people think about you, it might be because it might be your fault. You might be doing nothing, which could be a cause of that. If you are having anxiety, again, another method that we're going into is to talk to somebody. This one's very basic. People stabilize each other. So we tend to overthink things. Again, we overthink things. There's something about sharing these emotions that can make you realize that you're not alone and it's not a big deal. So like if you're talking to someone and you're like, hey, I'm feeling this way, they'll probably be like, or they could be like, hey, I felt that way last week. And yeah, it's haha. And it really kind of puts things in perspective, and it can be a really beneficial thing, depending on the person you're talking to. So yeah, okay. Negative visualization. This one seems kind of counterintuitive. This is from that Mark Manson video. I'll put in the description. All the sources that I got were just mainly YouTube videos that I just took notes on and put them all into one video so that you can get a good grasp about your anxiety and how to deal with it. Negative visualization. So imagine everything goes incredibly wrong as it can go. This kind of goes against positive thinking, but it doesn't. In the end, so here's the positive part. It's kind of difficult, but imagine everything goes incredibly wrong as it can go, and then imagine yourself being totally cool with it and getting through it. You will be fine. Yeah, that will help, apparently. I can see why it would help, because things aren't going to go as wrong as you imagine them in your head, and if you can imagine yourself being completely fine with something happening that's worse than what you're going through now, then it can really help tie things together and help you get through what you're going through at the moment. All right, so failure is a part of life. Failure is the only way to move forward. I've talked about it before on this channel many times. I love failure. Failure is quite literally a success. You will notice in the future, I will notice in the future of my life and stuff like that failures are what made me me, and I will begin to appreciate those failures more and more and more as I grow older. Sometimes it's hard. I've made many mistakes in my life, and a lot of the times it's hard to forgive myself for those mistakes. But to fail, it means that you did something. So we make up the idea of failure in our head. So let's say you wanted to make 50K and you got 40K, but if you wanted to make 40K and if you wanted to make 50K, you get 40K, it's a huge failure, you're terrible, you aren't happy. But if you wanted to make 40K in the beginning, you get 40K, then it's a huge success. So it's really just all in your head, and failures are really just not real. Nothing is going to be as good in the world as it is in your head. So nothing will feel as good as you think it does. If you keep holding yourself to this expectation of you'll never be happy. And really nothing is as bad as it is either, as you think it is either. So on that note, that's a good thing. Yeah. All right. This is the last thing. So if you are feeling anxiety about and negative thoughts, this one particularly goes to negative thoughts, but practice self-forgiveness. This is the difference between people who suffer because of their negative thoughts and those who have negative thoughts and move on with their life, is the ability to let go of those judgments of yourself. Let those thoughts go. Your failures and your achievements of certain things is not reflective of your value as a human being. And it just, the most messed up actions that were often taken with good intentions or the thought that they were helping. So think back to a time when you really you messed up real bad. And think about the actions, think about your intentions going forward that action. Were they good? A lot of the times they will be, and some of the times they won't. But even then, forgive yourself. You got to separate the sinner from the sin. So love the sinner, hate the sin. That's just, separate the actions from the person themselves, as it says. So empathize with the intention. Why did you think at the time that it was a good idea? And that can really help you forgive yourself and know that you didn't mean to do anything wrong, even though you did. And it's the lesson from these failures that benefit you. So that is the lessons from the failures that benefit you. And that is the end of the video. So I guess I'll go a quick I think we're done. You can go through the video if you want like a recap. So I feel like I should say more, but that's all that I've written down, all the research that I did. I personally have dealt with anxiety before, and a lot of it was from past failures, past things that I did, and I think the best thing that I figured out was I don't know. all these things. So, if you made it this far in the video, then congratulations. I gotta do a thumbnail. Let's do a thumbnail. I don't know. I don't know what a thumbnail would be. Okay. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching.